his amendment, again, I would want to bring to his attention, and I would yield to the gentleman if I'm wrong in this assumption, but I'm under the impression that auto dealers are subject to the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. I'm under the impression that auto dealers are subject to the Civil Rights Act. I'm under the impression that auto dealers are subject to the Truth in Lending Act. I'm under the impression that auto dealers are under the purview of the Fair Credit Billing Act, the Consumer Leasing Act, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. I'm under the impression that auto dealers are subject to each and every one of these. And so as far as having the opportunity to have credit, to be protected against deceptive practices, perhaps these laws aren't being enforced as they should be. That is something, a topic worthy of the attention of both our Senate colleagues and in the House. But again, I would yield to the gentleman if I am incorrect in my assumption that auto dealers are already subject to these laws. And if they are subject to these laws, then the question is, should they be subject to a regulatory review, a process that gives essentially, as I understand it, one unelected individual the power to ban and ration a credit product that might be the difference on whether or not a struggling family gets to own a car or not. Now, I heard the gentleman, I believe, say it was the second most expensive purchase in his life, as it is for most families, but it's also the second most important. It's, for many Americans, it is the automobile that takes you to and from your job. How fascinating it would be that if this economy was ever allowed to create jobs, if policymakers, I think to paraphrase the chairman, would get rid of some uncertainty in the marketplace, to think that all of a sudden we could have jobs created, but you couldn't buy a car to get to your job. For most Americans, they use a car when they have a sick child to take them to a doctor. And so I don't know every single credit product that could be conceived to allow a struggling family to buy a car, but I, for one, don't want to have an unelected czar with an army of expensive bureaucrats running around telling American families that they have to protect them from themselves, that we're going to ban and ration these products. And so there is already a regime in place to protect the equal opportunity access, to protect on disclosure and fraud. And often it's a question of whether or not laws are being properly enforced. It's not always the question of do we need necessarily new laws, but I believe at the end of the day, this is a way to restrict access to the automobile, which restricts access to jobs, educational opportunity, health care opportunity, and a host of others. And again, I would yield to somebody else if I am incorrect in my assumption that auto dealers are subject to the rest of the consumer protection regime that we have. But protecting consumers by taking away their freedom to access credit products that allows them to buy cars, it's not this member's idea of consumer protection. I yield back.